New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr have decided to restructure. It's official. It just came through. Ian Rappaport on Twitter let this rip literally 10 minutes ago. So we are here on a Saturday talking about this. This is, I have a video scheduled for tomorrow that talks about this, and now it's ruined. I'll probably still push it out, but still. Okay, so the biggest domino has fallen for the New Orleans Saints and what they plan on doing moving forward as far as being cap compliant. We knew that the Derek Carr situation was the biggest question for how they can get cap compliant by March 12th. All right, so this answers that. So we'll see what it all works out as far as like the numbers and all of that. But what I assume is going to happen, and this is like some serious back of the napkin math here, but I assume what they'll do is they'll take his base salary down to a minimum. They'll take the remaining and put the roster bonus inside of that. They'll turn all of that into its own bonus, and then they'll spread that out over the course of the next couple of years, which would save somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 million right meow, which is what they want to do in order to get cap compliant, which is what we talked about, where cutting him did not do what they needed it to do. Cutting him solved the problem for next year, but cutting him didn't solve the problem for this year. And, once it was pretty obvious that that was the situation, we realized that restructuring was inevitable, and now it's happened. So Derek Carr, according to Ian Rappaport, let's see here. Carr sticks, after all, in New Orleans, and he's set to make his full $40 million. Okay, so Derek Carr, 40 mil, whatever. I think this all but guarantees that this is his last year in New Orleans. I think this is a very similar situation to Russell Wilson's last year in Denver, and they could not offload him. So anyone that's saying like, why didn't we just cut him? Why didn't we just release him? Wasn't possible. All right. The only option was to restructure. That was it, because of the March 12th deadline. If we cut him, you didn't get the savings in time to be cap compliant. So in the grand scheme of things, this really isn't surprising. It puts to bed a lot of rumors and a lot of question marks and a lot of maybes and ifs and buts and nuts and what have you. And a lot of that I talk in the video that I had scheduled for tomorrow. But with Seattle trading Geno Smith and Clint Kubiak being in Seattle, there was some rumblings of like, well, is this some kind of move where Derek Carr now becomes available, and maybe now Derek Carr waives his no trade clause and maybe he goes there, and then all of a sudden what do the Saints do? So Carr's the quarterback. All right, Carr's the quarterback. Love it or hate it for the next season. And I think it makes sense if you really take the bias out of it. All right, take the fan bias out of it. Take whatever you think about Derek Carr as a person out of it. Take whatever you think about, the stick and just his personality and all of that. Take all of that out of it. It makes sense that Kellen Moore would want to, and really, I shouldn't even say that, because it's not a Kellen Moore decision. That's another point that we need to get clear. It is not a Kellen Moore decision. This is a financial decision. They had to get cap compliant by the 12th. The only possible way for them to do that is to restructure Derek Carr and save that $30 million right now. Now, it's going to be a combination of Eric McCoy, Taysom Hill, Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan. Those guys are all going to restructure. You're going to save a little bit here and a little bit there. Boom, they will be cap compliant come March 12th. And that'll be it. And the whole salary cap hell thing will be yet again in the dust, and the Saints will be good to go. They will pass go. They will collect $200, and then we're going to try and get all of the orange spaces, because that's obviously what you're supposed to do in the game. It is what it is. I mean, my overall thoughts, like I've said it before, I think Derek Carr is a fine quarterback. I think he's average. I think he's a bang average quarterback. Do I think you can win a Super Bowl with Derek Carr? No. Do I think Derek Carr is going to transcend the Saints into something else? No. Do I think he's going to propel them into an NFC contender? No. But I also believe this is his last year. This is a stopgap situation. This is a bridge situation in New Orleans. I don't like Derek Carr. I'll say that. He just rubs me the wrong way. Again, all the Super Bowl stuff, just the complete disappearing act. Whatever, like that's neither here nor there. Some people love him, some people hate him. I'm relatively indifferent as far as like love or hate, but yeah, I would like to see us go in a different direction just from a fan side of things. I understand that's not possible. I understand that's not possible to do that, and that restructuring was what it was. And in a way, I'm glad that this is. I mean, we knew this was coming before the 12th. Anyways, we had to do it within 72 hours, basically. But I'm glad it's out there. We can quit talking about it. We can quit talking about, will he be traded to Seattle, or will he be traded to this team, or will he go to this team, and will the Saints, draft this guy or trade for this guy or whatever. I don't think this stops the Saints from drafting a quarterback late in the draft. I think it certainly stops them from drafting. I say that, but everything I've heard about Shedeur Sanders, because Cam Ward's not going to fall, right? Shedeur is the only one that could fall to 9. Everything I've heard about Shedeur Sanders is that he's just not ready. Like, he's just not there yet. So, depending on the Saints' grade, do you draft him at 9, let him sit behind Carr for a year? I wouldn't do that, but, Now, as far as later in the draft, the Kyle McCords of the world, the Riley Leonards of the world, the Jackson Darts of the world, some of those guys, like maybe you draft them, maybe a year under Carr, and then you rock and roll. We've heard reports that the Saints are happy with Spencer Rattler, and they like what Rattler's doing. Maybe another year would be good for Rattler. Rattler got a lot of experience last year. If he had a year to sit behind Carr, you never know. Obviously, Carr could get hurt, and then Rattler comes in again. But maybe another year of development under Carr, and maybe they believe that they already have their future quarterback in Spencer Rattler. So, there's still some movability, some flexibility there. But we've got Carr. I would say this just like I said the same thing last year, but having Derek Carr elevates your floor to where if Derek Carr is your starting quarterback for a full season, barring catastrophic injuries like last year, you would assume your floor is probably 7 games, somewhere in that ballpark of 7-ish games, ceiling 10-ish games, or 10-ish wins, depending on the rest of the roster and depending on injuries and all that stuff. And, but so I guess like bright side, silver linings playbook, this puts the division, you're now in, you can say, or you can believe, or you can hope that, hey, maybe we have a chance to win the division. If you believe the South is relatively weak, you would, again, like a lot of the injuries and stuff's not going to happen again. Some of the younger players that we had last year take a step, you would think. Kellen Moore, upgrade. Brandon Staley, upgrade. We'll see what we do in the draft as far as some impact players. But, so it's a very weird news story, because I think a lot of people are going to see this and be very frustrated. Like, I think a lot of fans are going to see this and be very, very frustrated. And I think the immediate reaction, if I had to guess, the immediate reaction will be negative, I think. I think you'll see a negative reaction to the news. But and that kind of speaks to just the fan base's overall feeling. And is that fair? I don't know. But I think that's what the reaction is going to be. Hopefully that passes and we can get to football and we can just get back to, I think it will pass. I think it will pass, because then we can turn our attention to the draft, and the draft's exciting and all that stuff. What is going to piss me off is if today is the 8th, if Derek Carr is in front of a camera in the next 48 hours. If there's an interview at Derek Carr in the next 48 hours, I'm going to be absolutely fuming. Because like I've said, he's been a complete, him, Bigfoot, Amelia Earhart, they've been hanging out at the same place. Just a complete mystery. Just where are they? I have no idea. And it's been like that since since the season ended, basically. So if all of a sudden deal gets done, boom, pop, now he's smiling, talking about his team, talking about the city, talking about all this stuff, if I was advising him, I would say lay low for a little bit, maybe put out a tweet or something. Put out a tweet, say can't wait to be back, whatever. But let this settle, get closer to the draft, and then you can start doing your interviews and all that. But expected news. Saints have done it again as far as the cap. I just wanted to get on here and kind of break the news. Obviously, it is our franchise quarterback. So, but in totality, ladies and gentlemen, make this clear. All this is getting cap compliant. This is not investing in Derek Carr for the future. This does not mean Derek Carr is part of the future of the Saints. I 100% believe this is a one more year. Pay him what he has to have to get compliant this year. They will cut him. They will eat the $8 million a year that they push forward for the next few years. They will eat that. They'll eat the dead cap and all this stuff. It's a little bit bigger of a hit in the future, but we'll eat it. This will be his last season, and they'll figure out what to do as the season ended. I think this is a situation where it was just way too much transition happening this offseason to really get down to the nitty-gritty and figuring out how to offload Derek Carr. So good news for Kellen Moore. You get a veteran quarterback to come in and try and get your system going and operate the right way. That's a positive for Saints fans, that Kellen Moore is not handcuffed by a rookie quarterback or one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL, which would be the case if Spencer Rattler was starting. No offense to Spencer Rattler, but he would be one of the probably 5 worst starters in the NFL going into the NFL. Who knows how it will all play out? But so it's probably good for Kellen. It's probably good for the offense in general. It's definitely an upgrade at quarterback than the other options. So, all of that, it certainly diffuses any talk of us tanking, which is insane anyways. But so there you go. But I just want to get on here. We'll talk about this much more as more news comes out and all of that. But let me know in the comments below what you think. I have a sneaky feeling I know what you think, but get on down there and tell me. And I will see you in the next video.